Hello, I'm Rebecca Miller, and I'm sitting here with our clinical nutritionist, Bob Lukasik, who works here at Miller's. And Bob, you've been here for what, about 5 years, I think?
It's been about 5 years, yes.
5 years, and he's been building our nutrition department up from when it was a single aisle in the store, and now it's an entire department, and we're selling more and more natural supplements. So I thought it would be a good idea to sit down today and talk to him a little bit and find out. I know you're very passionate, Bob, about the natural supplements in the nutrition area. Can you speak a little bit about that? What got you interested? Were you always interested in this area?
Well, Rebecca, I've owned pharmacies and I've managed pharmacies for much of my life. My partner and I had a busy store in Manhattan where everybody in Manhattan wanted to take something as a vitamin, as a dietary supplement, something to give them energy, something to help them run a marathon. And then we moved to Bridgewater, New Jersey, and in Bridgewater, things were kind of a little different. The craze for nutrition hadn't reached into Bridgewater yet, so we kind of stepped away from it. And then in the late 80s, I started hearing a dissatisfaction from many of our patients over the way medicine was treating them. That doctors were simply saying, take this pill, then take this other pill, and then take this pill to treat the side effects from the pill that the first two gave you. And it one day came to my knowledge that some of my very, very good, seriously ill patients were going to a health food store and asking a kid in a baseball cap what they should be taking. And I said, this is a mistake. And so I looked around a little bit more and I became convinced that people really were looking for ways to help themselves. And so that meant I went back to school, studied with the British Institute of Homeopathy, started learning about nutrition, and then eventually became a DCN, a clinical nutritionist.
Okay.
And started implementing it in my practice.
Very interesting. And you feel that people have become more and more interested in the nutritional industry in the last couple of years or last 10 years?
It's actually the only sector in the economy that has consistently been growing for the last 15 years unchecked.
Wow.
And it's all driven, it's not driven by television advertisements, it's not driven by newspaper ads, it's driven solely by people's desire to help themselves.
Very interesting.
Pretty amazing.
Now, Bob, you mentioned homeopathy. Can you speak a little bit about homeopathic supplements that you have downstairs in the pharmacy and what homeopathy actually is? I'm not sure people really know what that is or understand it.
Great question. Homeopathy was started about 250 years ago by a physician, German physician, whose name was Samuel Hahnemann. And Samuel Hahnemann was very, very disappointed with the way patients were being treated in those days. They would slice open your skin and bleed you.
Oh yes, remember that.
I hope you don't remember
well,
that.
Well, I remember reading about it, yes.
and they would give you low-level toxins that would cause you to vomit or to have diarrhea, thinking that there was something bad inside of you that had to be released. And typically, if you were sick enough to go to a physician, you were pretty close to death. And usually the physician didn't cure you. Well, Dr. Hahnemann said there's got to be a better way, and he developed a theory of medicine that says like will cure like. So if you came to me this summer and said you had poison ivy, I would actually give you a very, very diluted extract of poison ivy, and that would enable your body to heal.
Doctor on line 2? Pharmacist, doctor on line 2?
Really, we're in a pharmacy, so we hear that all day long.
It's true.
Or if you had a very bad cold or the flu and you had red, watery eyes, I'd give you extract of onion, and that would actually help reduce the redness and the irritation of eyes.
Wow.
So homeopathy's first rule is like cures like. Second rule is use the tiniest dose that's possible. So we use very, very, very minimal dosing, and that reduces the risk of side effect. And then the last rule, which is his first rule, and it's actually do no harm. So we cannot harm patients with homeopathy. It's just not possible.
Really interesting. Very good to know.
There's a great story, if I may. Cuba, about 6 years ago, was in tremendous financial trouble. After every seasonal rainstorm, Cuba typically experiences a cholera epidemic. And they didn't have the funds for the vaccines that they normally use. So someone had the idea to ask a homeopath what to do, and the homeopathic physician created a homeopathic dilution of a vaccine. They spent less than 2% of what they spent the previous years, and their success rate was 10 times better using a homeopathic vaccine. Homeopathy works.
Wow, that's very powerful. Bob, the nutrition department, as I said, has grown exponentially over the last couple of years, and I think sometimes it's daunting for a person to go into that department and see the array of supplements and think, I really want to start my path to a better nutritional life. What would be your advice to somebody who, where do you start? Because there's so many vitamins down there. Are there common, is a good place to start for somebody who wants to explore this area more?
I always suggest there are 5 basic things that everyone in America in this day and age needs.
Really?
First thing is a probiotic, the good healthy bacteria. Our bodies, if we're healthy, have 100 trillion bacteria. Our skin cells, our body cells, hair, organ, we only have 30 trillion cells. So we need to make sure that those 100 trillion there are there to help us to support our immune system, to help us make neurotransmitters, promote sleep, mood, all of those.
And the body doesn't make enough of this, is that?
Body simply can't. It's from our environment. And as we sterilize our environment or poison our environment, we don't have these bacteria.
I see.
Do you grow vegetables any longer in your backyard?
No.
That's where you would be getting them.
Ah.
Matthew needs to start a garden.
I'll speak to him. That's my son. And so what are the other 4?
Okay. The next thing that everyone needs is an essential fatty acid or a fish oil. Okay. We should be eating 2 or 3 servings of salmon or mackerel or other oily fish like sardines. If we don't, we need the strong anti-inflammatories.
A day or a week?
A week.
A week, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did I say a day?
No, you said 2 to 3 servings,
okay.
and that seemed like a lot for
Okay.
a day.
So we really want to make sure that we have all the benefits of those essential oils. And the biggest one is anti-inflammatory, whether it's joints or arteries or cardiovascular need, diabetes. Most of our 20th and 21st century diseases are due to inflammation. So fish oils are wonderful. The next thing that I suggest is a bone building supplement. Our diets are not necessarily the best, so we need something with a good absorbable calcium, magnesium, vitamin D formula. Men and women just alike. Men have just as much osteoporosis as women.
Do they? I
The
see.
difference is that since your bones are smaller, you'll suffer hip fractures. Men will suffer spinal fractures.
Ah.
So completely different in terms of that.
And it's not enough just to take a calcium supplement.
Calcium, magnesium, vitamin D.
Those 3 together.
And they have to be absorbable.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing that's important are antioxidants. And antioxidants prevent damage to the cells. And everything that we do in our body is oxidative, meaning we're rusting. And so we need something to prevent that rusting or reduce the damage caused by oxidative aging. And so we need antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, or we can get them from fruits and vegetables. And then the last thing I think that everybody needs is a multivitamin. A good quality multivitamin, not with fillers, not with binders, not with waxes, not filled with dyes and colorings and things that are not necessary, but a good nutrient-based food. That's pretty about my beginning 5.
That's a good place to start. And
Yep.
do you have children's vitamins that have those good qualities without
Absolutely.
the dyes, and do they
Absolutely.
still taste good for the kids?
We have some that taste
you do
good.
have say okay.
Yeah, it tastes good. A mom just came in the other day and said she wanted to give her child fish oil, but it all tastes terrible. And then she tasted a lemon emulsified fish oil, and she just came in this morning to tell me that she, her husband, and 3 children fish oil every morning because it's delicious.
My daughter puts mango peach on her ice cream.
See?
Yep, she loves it.
It's good.
Yep. I think the last question I'm going to ask you, Bob, is with people who come in and they need advice, I understand you do give some consultations. How does that work, and what are some of the kinds of things that people might come in to talk to you about?
Another good question. We're fortunate here at Miller's that we have myself, who's a clinical nutritionist, and we have Stephanie Byers, who is a registered dietitian, also nutritionist. So we come at health and nutrition from a couple of different approaches. I've been trained as a clinical nutritionist to deal with disease states, whether it's diabetes, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular risk, joint pain, arthritis, neuralgia, fibromyalgia, all of these things. And if you have those kinds of conditions, it's not a 1 minute, hi, I have fibromyalgia and what can you do for me? Because I'm not going to treat your fibromyalgia. I'm going to treat you. And you are not your disease. You are not a group of symptoms. You're a person, and your individual journey with what's happening with you is going to be completely different. So at the very least, in a 15-minute quick free consultation, we'll be able to get to the beginning of the problem, and if it's simple, we can make recommendations. If it's more complicated, I'm going to send you home with some homework. And the homework's going to be a questionnaire that's about 30 to 32 pages, but will give me information about every organ system in your body. So even though you're telling me you have GI issues, for example, I want to know how your brain function is. I want to know how your endocrine system is. I want to know what your pancreas is doing, what your kidneys are doing. I want to know the whole person so that I don't make the mistake in looking in one place when it's very obvious that there's another place that needs attention. So that takes a little more time.
Of course.
And then you have to be prepared for an hour meeting with me, and we'll go through it all. And perhaps we might order lab tests or might order other tests for you to do on your own. But that's the only way to get to the root at problems. We're not treating a disease, we're treating you.
That's a very compassionate approach. And do you think you have been successful in helping people?
Yes. It is the most rewarding thing in my life when someone comes back and tells me that their life has changed. Their doctor can't believe their numbers. Doctor can't believe how they're feeling. The fact that they don't have a side effect, for example, and that their quality of life has improved. Makes me very happy.
It makes the people who see us very happy. Well, it was good to talk to you today, Bob, and
Thank
I
you.
encourage everybody to come in and meet him in person and explore our nutrition department. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.